My name is Sarah Thompson, and I'm 35 years old. 2 weeks ago, I handed my parents the keys to a brand new Toyota Camry, their dream car that took me 6 months of overtime to afford. They cried, hugged me, said I was the best daughter in the world. But 24 hours later, I discovered their newly notarized will that left everything: the $800,000 house I helped renovate, the savings account I contributed to, all to my younger brother, the successful doctor who visits twice a year. When I confronted them at my father's 70th birthday party, they called me selfish in front of 60 guests. What I did next changed our family forever. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. This is my story. The morning of Dad's 70th birthday, I arrived at my parents' house at 6 a.m. The caterers weren't coming until noon, but I wanted everything perfect. I'd spent 3 months planning this party, booking the photographer, arranging flowers, even flying in Uncle Dennis from Florida. The banner I'd custom ordered read, 70 years young, in Dad's favorite navy blue. By 10 a.m., I'd transformed their backyard into something from a magazine. String lights crisscrossed above round tables with white linens. The photo collage I'd assembled showed Dad through the decades: his college graduation, his wedding, holding baby me, then Michael 3 years later. I noticed how many recent photos included me at their sides. Michael's last appearance was Christmas 2 years ago. The guests started arriving at 2 p.m. Cousins from New Jersey, Dad's former colleagues, Mom's church friends, 60 people who'd watched us grow up. Everyone complimented the setup. "Sarah, you've outdone yourself," Aunt Margaret said, squeezing my shoulder. "Your parents are so lucky to have you." At 4 p.m., Michael finally showed up. 2 hours late, still wearing his doctor's coat like a badge of honor. Jennifer, his wife, strutted in behind him in designer heels, apologizing about hospital emergencies loud enough for everyone to hear. Mom practically glowed. "Everyone, Michael's here. Our doctor made it." She dragged him to each group of guests, retelling the same story about his recent promotion to head of cardiology. Meanwhile, I refilled drinks, checked on the food, made sure the birthday cake stayed hidden. I watched from the kitchen doorway as Michael held court in the living room, describing some complex surgery. The relatives hung on every word. Dad stood beside him, chest puffed with pride. Nobody asked about my recent promotion to chief financial officer. Nobody mentioned the new accounts I'd landed. The Camry sat in the driveway, that giant red bow still attached. I'd parked it prominently so Dad would see it from his favorite chair. He'd mentioned wanting one for 5 years. Michael had promised to help buy it last year, then forgot. Around 5 p.m., I noticed Mom and Aunt Margaret huddled in the corner of the living room, voices low but urgent. Margaret kept glancing at Michael, then at me. Mom clutched some papers against her chest. I couldn't make out the words, but Margaret's expression made my stomach tighten. Something was happening. I headed toward them with a tray of appetizers, using it as cover to get closer. Mom quickly shoved the papers into her purse, but not before I glimpsed an official seal at the top. They smiled, those fake smiles that never reach the eyes. "Sarah, honey, shouldn't you check on the cake?" Mom suggested, practically pushing me toward the kitchen. I pretended to leave but stayed within earshot, hidden behind the archway. Their whispers resumed immediately. "Linda, I still think you should have told her," Aunt Margaret said. "There's nothing to tell. It's done. We saw the notary last week. But after everything she's done, Michael needs it more. His practice, his future. Sarah has her husband's money." My blood turned to ice. Husband's money? They still thought I was married? "Besides," Mom continued, "the house should stay with the Thompson name. Michael's children will carry it forward." "Sarah doesn't have children?" "She's focused on her career, always working, never home. Michael and Jennifer will give us grandchildren soon." I gripped the tray so hard my knuckles went white. 12 years of insulin payments, property taxes, groceries, home repairs. Did none of that matter? "The will is ironclad," Mom said. "Mr. Peterson made sure. The house, the savings, even Mother's jewelry, it all goes to Michael. Sarah gets the photo albums." Photo albums? I almost laughed. $500,000 in assets and I'd inherit photos. "What about the car she just gave you?" "Oh, that was so sweet of her. But you know, Michael was planning to buy them a Tesla next year. This Toyota is nice for now." The room spun. Through the archway, I watched Michael showing off photos of his new boat on his phone. The boat he'd bought instead of helping with Dad's medical bills last winter. The boat he took out once before storing it. Jennifer laughed at something, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the light. The bracelet she'd posted about on Instagram. Blessed to have a husband who spoils me. The same week, I'd paid for Mom's MRI because they couldn't afford the copay. Dad called out from his chair. "Sarah, where's my birthday girl? Come take a photo with your old man." I plastered on a smile and walked into the room. The papers in Mom's purse might as well have been burning a hole through the leather. Everyone was about to learn exactly who'd been keeping this family afloat. As Dad positioned me for the photo, memories flooded back. This wasn't new, it was a pattern stretching back decades. When I graduated summa cum laude with my accounting degree, my parents threw a small dinner. 6 people. When Michael graduated from medical school, barely scraping through, they rented a hall, 100 guests. Doctors save lives, Dad had said. Accountants just count money. I remembered bringing home my CPA certification, so proud. Mom had glanced at it and said, "That's nice, dear. Did you hear Michael got accepted to his residency program?" My certificate ended up in a drawer. Michael's acceptance letter was framed above the fireplace. At family gatherings, the script never changed. "Michael's doing surgery on hearts," they'd beam. When someone asked about me, the energy would deflate. "Sarah does numbers for companies." Like I was selling vacuum cleaners door to door. The truth? My first year as a CPA, I made $95,000. Michael, in residency, made $55,000. But income didn't matter. Prestige did. The Thompson family had produced a doctor. That was the story worth telling. Even my MBA from Northwestern, earned at night while working full-time, barely registered. Mom had actually asked, "Why do you need more school? Aren't you already an accountant?" Meanwhile, they'd mortgaged the house to help pay for Michael's medical school. I learned to shrink myself at family events. Don't mention the promotion. Don't talk about the Fortune 500 clients. Don't bring up the company awards. Let Michael shine. Let them have their golden child. The photographer snapped our picture. "Beautiful family," he said. I wondered if he could see the fault lines. "Sarah, get me a beer?" Dad asked, already turning away to find Michael. In the kitchen, I steadied myself against the counter. Through the window, I could see the Camry, $35,000 of my savings sitting in their driveway. They'd thanked me yesterday, tears in their eyes. "We don't deserve you," Mom had said. No, I thought, you really don't. My phone buzzed, a text from my assistant about Monday's board meeting. I was presenting the merger proposal that could net our firm millions. My parents didn't even know I'd made partner last year. I tried to tell them, but Mom had interrupted with news about Michael's new office space. I grabbed Dad's beer and headed back, passing Michael's medical school graduation photo in the hallway. Right next to it, an empty space where my achievements should have been. Returning to the party, I watched Mom struggle to open her pill organizer, the one I'd bought her. 12 years ago, when she was diagnosed with diabetes, the insulin cost $500 a month after insurance. Michael was building his practice. I was building their safety net. Every month, like clockwork, $500 for insulin, $300 for Dad's heart medication, $200 for their supplemental insurance. I'd set up automatic transfers so they'd never have to ask. They never did ask. They also never said thank you. The roof replacement 3 years ago? $15,000 from my bonus. The new furnace when theirs died in January? $8,000 on my credit card. The bathroom renovation after Dad's hip surgery? $12,000 from my savings. Michael sent a get well card. "Sarah's so good with money," Mom would tell people, like it was a consolation prize. "She helps us with the bills sometimes." Sometimes. Try every single month for over a decade. I'd turned down a job in Seattle, 40% pay raise, because Mom had just started dialysis. I can't leave them now, I'd told myself. Michael took a fellowship in Miami that year. No one questioned his priorities. Jennifer interrupted my thoughts, complaining loudly about their property taxes. $20,000 a year. Can you believe it? Thank God Michael makes good money. I bit my tongue. Their property taxes were public record, $11,000. Mine were $8,000 plus the $15,000 I paid on my parents' house. But who was counting? Sarah, Mom called out. Can you help with something in the kitchen? Always. Sarah, can you help? Sarah, can you handle this? Sarah, can you pay for that? Never Michael. He was too important, too busy, too successful to be bothered with mundane family needs. I found her struggling with the cake boxes. Your father loves that raspberry filling, she said. Michael suggested chocolate, but I remembered you said raspberry was his favorite. Of course, Michael suggested chocolate. Dad was allergic to chocolate, had been for 20 years. Michael attended maybe 3 birthdays in that time. How would he know? The party is perfect, sweetheart, Mom said, patting my cheek. You're so good at taking care of everything. That's why we don't worry about you like we do Michael. He needs more guidance. Guidance? Is that what we were calling financial enabling now? Michael, who earned $300,000 a year, needed guidance. I, who'd been their unofficial CFO since college, was just good with money. The cake was beautiful. 3 tiers, custom decorated. It cost me $400. Michael's contribution to the party? He showed up. Have you ever felt invisible despite doing everything for your family? Like your sacrifices don't count because you don't have the right career? If this resonates with you, please hit that like button and share your story in the comments. I read every single one, and you're not alone in this. Let's continue with what happened when I finally heard the truth about that will. Standing in my childhood home, I did the math I'd been avoiding. The house, now worth $800,000, had my financial DNA all over it. The foundation repair, the new windows, the kitchen remodel, $200,000 of my money over the years. Not loans, gifts, because family doesn't keep score. Except they did keep score. Just not in my favor. The family savings account held $150,000. I'd contributed $90,000 of it. Emergency deposits when Dad had his heart scare, when Mom needed surgery, when their car died. Michael's contribution? 0. But his name was on the account as beneficiary. Then there were the intangibles. Every holiday hosted at my apartment because their house was too much work. Every doctor's appointment I drove them to because Michael was on call. Every middle-of-the-night emergency where I was the first responder, not their doctor's son. My reputation in the family was built on being reliable Sarah, dependable Sarah, the one who handled things. But that same reputation painted me as someone who didn't need help, didn't need inheritance, didn't need recognition. Sarah's got her life together, they'd say, as if stability meant I deserved less. The cruel irony? Everyone assumed my ex-husband bankrolled my life. David, who'd cheated with his secretary, who'd fought me for every penny in the divorce, who'd left me with debt from his failed business ventures. I'd kept the divorce quiet, not wanting to burden my parents during Dad's recovery. 3 years of rebuilding my life alone. 3 years of therapy I couldn't mention. 3 years of pretending everything was fine because admitting my failure would mean admitting Michael was the only success story. Sarah's husband takes good care of her, I'd heard Mom tell someone earlier. The words stung more than any insult. They didn't know I'd been sleeping in my office some nights, too exhausted from managing their affairs and mine to drive home. I looked around the party, the one I'd organized, funded, and executed. Every guest here knew me as the daughter who stepped up. But in my parents' will, I was the daughter who could step aside. My phone lit up with a bank alert. The automatic transfer for their mortgage payment had processed. $2,500 gone from my account, like every month for the past 2 years when their retirement funds fell short. Michael laughed at something across the room, unaware that his inheritance was being subsidized by the sister he called jealous. The house he'd inherit? I was literally paying for it. Aunt Margaret's voice suddenly cut through the party noise. Linda, just tell her. The will is finalized, notarized last week. It's done. The entire room didn't hear, but enough did. Heads turned, conversations paused. Mom's face went red. Margaret, please. Michael gets the house, Margaret continued, whine making her louder. It's only fair. He's the doctor. He has a family to think about. My stomach dropped. Jennifer perked up, suddenly interested. We get the house? Mom tried damage control. It's not. We haven't. Sarah has her husband's money anyway, Margaret added. sealing my fate. She doesn't need it. The words hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. I stood frozen by the kitchen doorway, tray still in my hands. Several guests looked between me and Michael, sensing drama. Michael tried to look surprised, but I caught the quick glance he exchanged with Jennifer. They knew. They'd known all along. "What will?" I heard myself say. My voice sounded strange, detached. Dad cleared his throat. "This isn't the time, Sarah." "When is the time?" "After you're dead." Gasps from the church ladies. Mom clutched her pearls, literally. "Sarah Elizabeth Thompson!" Dad's voice boomed. "You do not speak to us that way." "How should I speak to you? Like a daughter? Because daughters usually get mentioned in wills." The room was dead silent now. Even the kids stopped playing. Michael stepped forward using his doctor voice. "Sarah, you're being emotional. This is Dad's birthday." "Funded by me," I interrupted. "The party you're enjoying? I paid for it. The house you're inheriting? I pay the mortgage." "That's enough." Mom stood up. "You're ruining everything, as usual." As usual? When had I ever ruined anything? I'd been fixing everything for over a decade. I looked at the Camry keys in my pocket, then at the room full of people who thought they knew our family's story. They knew Michael, the successful doctor. They knew Sarah, the helpful daughter. They didn't know the truth. My phone buzzed. Another alert. Mom's insulin prescription was ready. $500. I wondered if Michael even knew what pharmacy they used. "You want to discuss the will?" I said, pulling out my phone. "Let's discuss it. All of it." Jennifer whispered urgently to Michael. Mom sat back down, face pale. Dad's jaw clenched. The birthday party was about to become something else entirely. Mom grabbed my arm, pulling me into the kitchen. "Not here. Not in front of everyone." "Why not? Ashamed of something?" "Is it true about the will?" I asked point blank. Mom's shoulders stiffened. "It's not your business." "Not my business? I paid for your insulin for 12 years. Michael is a doctor, he deserves— What about everything I've done? You have a husband to take care of you." The words hit like ice water. "We divorced 3 years ago." Mom's face went white. "What?" "David cheated, left me with 40,000 in debt from his failed business. I've been single for 3 years. You never said— You never asked." Too busy talking about Michael's achievements. Mom sank into a kitchen chair. "Then you need to remarry." I laughed, sharp, bitter. "That's your solution? Remarry?" "Sarah, be practical. Michael has a family. He has a gambling problem." The words escaped before I could stop them. Mom's eyes widened. "That's a lie." "3 mortgages on his house, Mom. Casino markers. Why do you think Jennifer's been selling her jewelry?" "You're making this up because you're jealous." Dad entered the kitchen. "What's this noise?" "Sarah knows about the will," Mom said quickly. "Good. It's decided. Michael needs it for his practice." "His practice is failing, Dad." "Don't lie, Sarah. I make twice what Michael makes. My firm just landed a $10 million contract." "That's not possible. He's a doctor. And I'm a CFO. I manage $100 million portfolios." Dad shook his head. "Accounting isn't a real business." The dismissal was so casual, so complete. 12 years of supporting them, and I wasn't real to them. Through the doorway, guests were starting to notice our absence. Michael appeared, doctor's coat still on like armor. "Everything okay in here?" "Your sister's upset about the will," Dad said. Michael's face arranged itself into fake concern. "Sarah, we can discuss this later." "You mean after it's filed? After the house is transferred?" "The house belongs in the Thompson family." "I am the Thompson family. I'm the one who paid for it." Voices were rising. Guests were definitely listening now. Mom stood up. "You're embarrassing us." "No, you embarrassed me. Every time you told people Michael was your pride while I was standing right there." The kitchen felt too small. 4 people, decades of resentment, and 60 guests waiting outside. "We're going back to the party," Dad announced. "Sarah, control yourself." They filed out, leaving me alone with the birthday cake I'd bought. "Happy 70th. Dad," it read. I wondered if he'd even cut me a piece. I followed them out, my hands shaking. The room fell silent as we emerged from the kitchen. 60 pairs of eyes tracked our movement. Family discussion, Dad announced with forced cheer. Nothing to worry about. But Aunt Margaret, 3 wines in, wouldn't let it go. Sarah found out about the will. The silence deepened. Even the kids sensed something was wrong. What will? Cousin Beth asked. Before anyone could stop her, Margaret explained. Robert and Linda are leaving everything to Michael. The house, the savings, even Linda's mother's jewelry. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I saw judgment in some faces, pity in others. Well, that makes sense, Jennifer said loudly. Michael's the one with a family to support. Sarah has her husband, someone whispered. Actually, I said, my voice carrying, I've been divorced for 3 years. The gasps were audible. Mom's church friends exchanged looks. Divorced? Mrs. Patterson from next door looked scandalized. David cheated, I said simply. Left me with his debts. I've been single since. Michael tried to take control. Sarah, this isn't appropriate. What's not appropriate is finding out I'm disinherited at Dad's birthday party. You're not disinherited, Dad said firmly. You get the photo albums. Someone actually laughed. I think it was me. Photo albums. For 12 years of financial support. Sarah, stop being dramatic, Mom pleaded. Should I be dramatic about the insulin I buy, the mortgage I pay, the roof I replaced? We never asked you to. No, you just assumed I would, while assuming Michael was too important to help. Michael's face was getting red. I help? When? Name one bill you've paid. I'm busy saving lives. And I'm busy saving this family from bankruptcy. The word bankruptcy echoed. Several guests shifted uncomfortably. Jennifer grabbed Michael's arm. We should go. No, I said. Stay. You're inheriting everything. You should know what everything costs. I pulled out my phone, opening my banking app. Should we start with the medical bills or the home repairs? Sarah, put that away, Dad commanded. Why? Embarrassed by the truth? Mom was crying now, performative tears. Why are you doing this? Because I just gave you a $35,000 car, and you can't even put my name on a will. The Camry keys felt heavy in my pocket. Through the window, I could see it gleaming in the driveway. That's it, Dad said. Everyone, please enjoy the party. Sarah, we'll speak privately. But I was done with private. Private was where they buried my contributions. No, I said. We're doing this here, now. My phone screen glowed with 12 years of evidence, every transaction categorized, tagged, searchable. My CPA brain had documented everything, not for this moment, but because that's who I was. Organized, thorough, invisible. Monthly transfers. I scrolled through the list. 500 for insulin, 300 for heart medication, 200 for supplemental insurance. Every month, 12 years. Michael shifted uncomfortably. Jennifer's eyes were glued to my screen. I opened another folder. House repairs. New roof, $15,000. Furnace, $8,000. Bathroom renovation, $12,000. Foundation, $22,000. Stop it, Mom whispered. But I kept going, opening email receipts, medical bills, Mom's dialysis copays, Dad's cardiac catheterization, the emergency room visit last Christmas when Michael was in Cabo. I was at a medical conference, Michael protested. With a golf package? I showed the Instagram photos Jennifer had posted. Michael on the beach, cocktail in hand, the same day Dad was admitted. The room was mesmerized. This wasn't just family drama. It was a reckoning. My email dinged. My lawyer, right on time. I'd messaged him during the kitchen confrontation. Financial abuse of elderly parents. I read the subject line aloud. Interesting legal concept, isn't it? Dad's face darkened. You wouldn't dare. I wouldn't have to if you'd been fair. I switched to another folder, receipts I'd saved from pure habit. Every birthday party, every holiday dinner, every anniversary celebration, funded by me, planned by me, while Michael sent cards, sometimes. This is ridiculous, Michael said. I'm a doctor. My time is valuable. My time isn't. I pulled up my calendar. Board meetings, client presentations, 16-hour days. But I still made time for every doctor's appointment, every pharmacy run, Every emergency. Jennifer whispered urgently to Michael. I caught the words mortgage and due. Another email popped up. This one from my private investigator, subject line. Thompson M. Financial records. I hadn't planned to use it. It was insurance, gathered after I'd discovered Michael had been telling our parents he was too broke to help while buying a boat. Should we discuss Michael's finances? I asked sweetly. Michael went pale. That's private. Like the will was private? Mom stood between us. Enough. This is your father's birthday. Funded by me, I reminded her. The child you're leaving nothing to paid for the party, where you're celebrating giving everything to the child who couldn't bother to show up on time. The truth hung heavy in the air. Some guests were recording on their phones. Tomorrow this would be everywhere. But I wasn't done. The real revelation was still coming. 2 weeks earlier, everything had been different. I'd just handed over the Camry keys, watching my parents cry with joy. That night, unable to sleep, I'd done something I'd never done before. I'd hired a private investigator. Just a background check, I'd told myself, just to understand why Michael never helps. What came back 3 days later shattered my assumptions. Michael owed $400,000 to various casinos. 3 mortgages on his house, all past due, credit cards maxed out. The successful doctor was drowning in debt. But that wasn't the worst part. Jennifer had filed for divorce, twice, withdrawn both times after Michael promised to get help. The investigator found the court records, the gambling addiction counselor Michael had seen once and quit. I'd sat in my office staring at the reports. My parents thought they were leaving their estate to stability. They were leaving it to a sinking ship. Then came the email from Mom's friend at the bank, sent by accident to me instead of Mom. The new will is ready for notarization. Michael will be so relieved. Relieved. Because he needed the money, desperately. I'd called my lawyer that day. Hypothetically, if someone's been financially supporting their parents for years, and the parents leave everything to another sibling who's in debt, document everything, he'd said. Every receipt, every transfer, every email. Financial abuse of the elderly includes taking advantage of one child's support while favoring another. And if there's coercion or undue influence, I'd spent the next week organizing 12 years of records. Not to sue my parents, I'd never do that. But to protect myself, to have proof of my contributions. The investigator had found more. Jennifer's affair with another doctor at the hospital. Photos from a medical conference that was definitely not medical. Michael didn't know. My parents didn't know. I'd kept it all, unsure what to do with it. Now, standing in this room full of witnesses, I realized I'd been preparing for this moment without knowing it. Every saved receipt, every documented transfer, every email, breadcrumbs leading to this confrontation. Sarah's always been jealous, Michael was saying to a group of cousins. Jealous of a man drowning in debt, with a failing marriage and a gambling addiction, of the golden child who was actually made of fool's gold. I opened the investigator's report on my phone. One swipe, and everyone would know the truth about Dr. Michael Thompson. My finger hovered over the screen. The power felt strange. I'd never been the one with ammunition before. If you've made it this far, you know this isn't just about money. It's about respect and recognition. Have you ever discovered something that made you realize you've been played for years? Drop a comment below with your experience. And if you want to see more stories about setting boundaries with toxic family members, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now let's see what happened when everything came out at the party. Mom stepped into the center of the room, addressing everyone with a shaky voice. I'm sorry you all have to witness this. Sarah's being selfish about family matters. The word selfish echoed off the walls. 60 faces turned to me, some sympathetic, most judgmental. Selfish? I repeated. For wanting to be included in a will after 12 years of support? You always make everything about money, Mom continued, playing to the crowd. The church ladies tutted. Mrs. Henderson shook her head disapprovingly. Michael seized the moment. She's always been jealous of my success. Some people can't handle others doing better. Jennifer laughed. That tinkling, fake laugh. It must be hard watching your brother achieve so much. While you achieve what, exactly? Cousin Beth asked me. Still doing bookkeeping? I'm the CFO of a major firm. She counts money, Michael interrupted. I save lives, but somehow she thinks that makes us equal. The dismissal was so casual, so practiced. Several guests nodded along. Sarah, don't ruin your dad's birthday, Aunt Patricia chimed in. This is supposed to be a celebration. That I paid for, I reminded them. There she goes again, Jennifer Stage whispered. Everything's about money with her. Mr. Davidson, Dad's golf buddy, frowned at me. Young lady, your parents deserve respect. Respect? I pulled up my bank app. Is 12 years of financial support not respectful enough? Put that phone away, Dad commanded. You're embarrassing yourself. No, I'm embarrassing you. There's a difference. Mom's tears started again. Why are you doing this to us? We've been nothing but good to you. The gaslighting was breathtaking. Good to me, by planning to leave me nothing? She found out about the will, Aunt Margaret announced again, louder. That's what this is about. What kind of daughter demands inheritance? Mrs. Patterson asked, scandalized. The kind who's been paying for everything while being told she's worth nothing, I shot back. Sarah, Dad's voice boomed. Apologize, now. For what? Telling the truth? Michael stepped forward, using his doctor voice, calm, authoritative. Sarah, you're clearly emotional. Maybe you should step outside. Emotional or informed? Or the room felt smaller, the air thicker. Every face was turned to me, most with disapproval. The good daughter had become the villain in real time. Some people, Mom said to her church friends, loud enough for everyone to hear, don't understand that love isn't transactional. The irony almost choked me. Love wasn't transactional, but inheritance was? Dad stood up, commanding the room's attention. Since Sarah insists on making this public, let's be clear. She thinks she deserves inheritance despite having a rich husband who provides for her. I'm divorced! The words exploded from me. The room went silent. 60 people stared. Divorced? Mrs. Chen from Mom's book club looked horrified. Linda, you never mentioned— We didn't know, Mom said quickly. She kept it secret. For 3 years, apparently. The judgment was immediate. Whispers rippled through the crowd. 3 years? She lied? What else is she hiding? I didn't lie. You never asked. Too busy talking about Michael. No wonder she wants our money, Aunt Margaret said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Lost her meal ticket, Jennifer smirked. Gold digger lost her source. Now she's after her parents' assets. The character assassination was swift and brutal. I went from ungrateful daughter to divorced gold digger in seconds. That's not— David left me with 40,000 in debt. Sure he did, someone muttered. Michael shook his head sadly, performing concern. Sarah, we understand you're struggling, but this isn't the way. I make 200,000 a year. Don't lie, Dad said flatly. We know what accountants make. I'm not just an accountant. I'm the CFO. But they weren't listening. The narrative was set. Poor, divorced, desperate Sarah trying to steal from her successful brother. This is why we didn't tell you about the will, Mom announced. We knew you'd react like this. Emotional, irrational. It's so sad, Jennifer said to a group of cousins. Mental health issues often surface during divorce. I don't have mental health issues. Denial is common, Michael added, his doctor voice lending authority to the lie. Pastor Williams from Mom's church stepped forward. Sarah, perhaps you need counseling. This anger isn't healthy. They were rewriting reality in real time. Every fact I presented became evidence of my instability. She's been off since the divorce, Mom told Mrs. Patterson. We've been worried. You didn't even know I was divorced until 5 minutes ago. See, Mom said to the crowd. She admits she's been lying to us. The logic was circular, impossible to fight. Every defense became proof of guilt. I stood there surrounded by people who'd known me since childhood, watching them choose the narrative that made them comfortable. The successful doctor's son, the bitter divorced daughter. Simple, clean, wrong. My phone buzzed. The investigator had sent another file. Thompson, M. Bankruptcy filing, draft. Michael was planning to declare bankruptcy. My inheritance, their inheritance, would vanish into his debts. I grabbed the microphone from the DJ's setup. You want to know the truth? Let me show you something interesting. Before anyone could stop me, I connected my phone to the Bluetooth speaker system. The TV screen in the corner, set up for the photo slideshow, flickered to life. 12 years of bank statements, I announced as the screen filled with transactions. The room went silent. The numbers were undeniable. Medical expenses, $78,000. Each line item appeared. Insulin, heart medication, dialysis copays. Mom reached for Dad's arm. Turn it off. House repairs, $200,000. The receipts scrolled past. Roof, furnace, foundation, bathroom renovation. Sarah, stop this, Dad commanded. Monthly support, $216,000. That's $1,500 every month for 12 years. The math was stark, irrefutable. Several guests pulled out their phones recording. Total contribution from Sarah Thompson, $487,000. I let that number hang in the air. Total contribution from Michael Thompson? I paused dramatically. $0, 0 cents. Michael's face went from red to white. That's not... I helped in other ways. Name one. Silence. But wait, there's more. I swiped to the next screen. Let's talk about that successful doctor. The gambling notices appeared. Casino markers, overdue mortgages, credit card statements showing cash advances at the Horseshoe Casino. $400,000 in gambling debt, I announced. Gasps echoed through the room. Jennifer stumbled backward. Michael? That's fake, Michael shouted. She's making this up. I swiped again. 3 mortgages on your house, all past due. The documentation was clear. Public records, anyone could verify. The house my parents are leaving you? You'll sell it within a month to pay casino debts. Mom sank into a chair. Dad's mouth opened and closed like a fish. But here's the best part. I pulled up the bankruptcy filing. Draft bankruptcy petition for Michael Thompson, prepared last week. Jennifer screamed. What? You didn't know your husband was planning bankruptcy? I asked innocently. The room exploded. Jennifer lunged at Michael. Cousins backed away. The church ladies clutched their purses. It's not... I can explain, Michael stammered. Explain what? I asked. How you convinced our parents to leave you everything while hiding that you're drowning in debt? How you let me pay for their care while you gambled away your salary? The golden child was tarnished beyond repair. The successful doctor was a gambling addict. The family's pride was their biggest liability. Still think I'm the selfish one? I asked the room. No one answered. There's more, I said, my voice steady despite the chaos. Should I continue? Jennifer was sobbing, mascara streaming. What else? What else, Michael? I swiped to the next file. Jennifer, did you know about the second mortgage Michael took out forging your signature? She froze. What? The document appeared on screen. $100,000 loan, your signature. Except you were in Miami that day. Your Instagram proves it. You forged my signature? Jennifer's voice went deadly quiet. Michael backed toward the door. Jen, baby, I can explain. And Mom, Dad. I turned to my parents, who looked like they'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Did Michael tell you he was suspended from the hospital last month? That's not true, Michael shouted. Inappropriate prescriptions, under investigation by the medical board. The letter appeared on screen. He's not head of cardiology. He's on administrative leave. The room was in shock. This wasn't just family drama anymore. This was criminal. So let's recap, I said, voice carrying over the murmurs. You're leaving everything to a gambling addict who's about to lose his medical license, declare bankruptcy, and possibly go to jail for forgery. You investigated me? Michael's mask finally slipped completely. You fucking bitch! Language, Mom gasped, but it was too late. She's been paying for everything, Michael exploded. So what? She chose to. Nobody made her. Finally, the truth. Exactly, I said calmly. I chose to. For 12 years, I chose to support this family, and you chose to take advantage of it. Jennifer was pulling off her wedding ring. I want a divorce, a real one this time. Jen, please. You told me we were broke because of student loans, she threw the ring at him. Not casinos. Dad finally spoke, his voice broken. Michael, is this true? Does it matter? Michael laughed bitterly. You already gave me everything. The will's notarized. The casual cruelty of it made several guests gasp. About that will, I said, pulling up one more document. Did you know that in this state, undue influence and financial exploitation of elderly parents can invalidate a will? Mom looked up sharply. What? My lawyer says hiding financial distress while convincing parents to disinherit the supporting child? I smiled coldly. That's textbook elder abuse. You wouldn't dare, Dad said. Try me. I have 12 years of evidence and 60 witnesses to what just happened. The party was over, the family was destroyed, and I was just getting started. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the Camry keys. They caught the light as I held them up. This car, I announced to the room, I'm taking it back. You can't, Mom gasped. It was a gift. The title's still in my name. I never transferred it. I'd learned something from 12 years of being taken for granted. Always protect yourself. Effective immediately, no more financial support, not one penny. But my insulin, Mom started. Michael's problem now. He's inheriting everything, right? I turned to my brother, who looked like he'd been punched. Congratulations on your inheritance. Mom's insulin is $500 a month. Dad's heart medication is $300. Property tax is $15,000 a year. Home insurance is $3,000. Utilities average $400 monthly. Jennifer laughed bitterly. With what money? We're broke. Not my problem anymore. I pulled out a folder I'd brought, just in case. Every receipt, every bank transfer, every payment I've made for 12 years, copied and notarized. I set it on the gift table, right next to the birthday cards. For your records. Dad stood up, shaking. Sarah, you can't just... I can and I am. You made your choice. You chose the son who contributed nothing over the daughter who gave everything. We're your parents, Mom cried. And I was your daughter, but apparently that meant nothing. I pulled up one more document on my phone. My lawyer will send a formal demand letter for the $200,000 I spent on house renovations. What? Dad's face went purple. You signed a loan agreement 5 years ago, remember? When I paid for the foundation repair, you insisted on signing something to make it official. Well, congratulations, you made it official. The notarized agreement appeared on screen, their signatures clear as day. That was, you thought I'd never collect. But if you're leaving me nothing, I want my money back. You have 30 days to respond. Michael stepped forward. You can't do this to them. I'm not doing anything to them. I'm done doing everything for them. There's a difference. I headed for the door, my heels clicking on the hardwood floor I'd paid to refinish. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. Sarah, please, Mom called out. I turned at the doorway. You know what's funny? All I wanted was to be seen, to be valued. Hell, I would have been happy with a thank you. We did thank you. No. You thanked Michael for existing. You thanked me for being useful. There's a difference. I walked out, leaving chaos behind. Michael chased me to the driveway. You can't leave them with nothing. Like they left me? I unlocked the Camry. I'll sue you. I turned, pulling out my phone one more time. With what lawyer? You're about to declare bankruptcy, remember? That was private. So was the will until Aunt Margaret announced it. I opened my email. My lawyer already drafted the demand letter. Want to see? The letter was professional, cold. Demand for repayment of loan, $200,000 plus interest. They can't pay that. Then they better negotiate. Maybe sell the house. Oh wait, they're leaving that to you. Jennifer appeared, makeup destroyed, suitcase in hand. I'm leaving him. Good for you, I told her sincerely. I'm taking half of everything in the divorce, she announced to Michael. There's nothing to take, he shouted. Then I'll take half of nothing, and half the debt. She looked at me. Your investigator. Can I have his number? I handed her a business card. He's very thorough. Mom and Dad appeared in the doorway, looking small and old. Sarah, please, we're sorry. No, you're scared. There's a difference. We'll change the will, Dad offered desperately. Too late. Trust is broken. I got in the car. Besides, Michael needs it more, right? The successful doctor? I made mistakes, Michael said. But they're our parents. Your parents now. You're the heir. Act like it. I started the engine. Oh, and Michael? The house needs a new water heater. That's about $4,000. The garage door is failing. Another $2,000. Mom's next dialysis copay is due Friday. I don't have... Figure it out. I did. For 12 years. Pastor Williams approached. Sarah, forgiveness is not required, goodbye. I pulled out of the driveway, past the house I'd helped maintain, past the garden I'd planted with Mom, past the mailbox I'd replaced last summer. In the rearview mirror, I saw them all standing there. My parents, looking lost. Michael, finally realizing what he'd inherited. Not wealth, but responsibility. Jennifer, calling an Uber. The party guests, probably already texting everyone about the Thompson family meltdown. My phone rang. Mom calling. I declined. Dad calling. Declined. Michael calling. Blocked. For the first time in 12 years, their problems weren't my problems. The golden child could figure it out. After all, he was a doctor. He was successful. He was the pride of the family. He was also, finally, on his own. By the time I got home, my phone had 47 messages. I ignored them all and poured myself a wine. Michael's first text came at 8 p.m. You can't do this. By 9 p.m., Mom's crying. By 10 p.m., please answer. By 11 p.m., I'll pay you back. Sure he would. With what money? Jennifer texted separately. Thank you for exposing him. Lawyer appointment tomorrow. At least someone benefited from the truth. The family group chat exploded. Aunt Margaret. Sarah's lost her mind. Cousin Beth. So dramatic. Must be the divorce. Uncle Dennis. Michael will take care of them. I laughed at that one. Michael couldn't take care of himself. 3 days later, the real consequences started. Mom called from the pharmacy. Her insulin prescription was ready. $500. Michael said he can't until his next paycheck. Then wait for his paycheck. But I need it today. Ask your heir. She hung up crying. I felt nothing. A week later, Dad called. The mortgage is due. Talk to Michael. He doesn't have it. He's in worse shape than we thought. You mean the successful doctor isn't so successful? Sarah, please, we're desperate. So was I. For recognition, for fairness, for love that wasn't conditional. We do love you. You love what I did for you. There's a difference. 2 weeks later, Jennifer's divorce lawyer called me. Your documentation helped immensely. She'll get alimony despite his debts. Good. Someone should benefit from Michael's lies. 3 weeks later, Aunt Margaret called. The family is talking. Let them talk. They're saying you're heartless. They're saying that while Michael lets our parents' bills pile up, he's trying. He's had 3 weeks. I did it for 12 years. A month later, the certified letter arrived at my parents' house. Demand for repayment. 30 days to respond. Michael called from their phone. You're really suing them? I'm collecting a legal debt. The will made it clear I'm not family, just a creditor. They might lose the house. Then you better help them. Oh wait, you can't. You're bankrupt. Not yet. Give it time. 6 weeks later, Mom texted. Michael had to sell his Mercedes. I didn't respond. 7 weeks later. We're seeing a lawyer about the loan. Good, they should understand their obligations. 8 weeks later. The church is helping with groceries. The church they'd tithed to for 40 years using my money. 3 months later, the full picture emerged through family gossip and social media. Michael had sold his Mercedes and his boat, clearing barely $60,000. It went straight to the most aggressive creditors. Jennifer got the house in the divorce, and its 3 mortgages. She sold it immediately, taking a massive loss. My parents were drowning. Property tax came due, $15,000 they didn't have. Michael scraped together $5,000. They borrowed the rest from the church, humiliating for my proud father. The medical board suspended Michael's license for 6 months. Inappropriate prescriptions were just the beginning. They found more issues. He took a job at an urgent care clinic, making a third of his previous salary. Jennifer sent me a thank you card. You saved me from years more of lies. I'm moving to Portland, starting fresh. The family fractured completely. Mom's church friends whispered constantly. Dad's golf buddies excluded him from games. Nobody wanted to hear about their family drama. 6 relatives unfriended my parents on Facebook. The annual Thompson reunion was quietly canceled. Michael moved back home. At 32, the successful doctor was living in his childhood bedroom, driving a 10-year-old Honda, working 60 hours a week to cover basic bills. My business thrived. Without the constant emotional and financial drain, I focused on work, landed 2 major contracts worth $10 million, made senior partner, bought a penthouse downtown with the money I wasn't spending on my parents. Mom called monthly, leaving voicemails. Michael's trying so hard. We miss you. Please forgive us. I never answered. Dad wrote a letter. Actual paper, his shaky handwriting. I was wrong. You were the successful one all along. Too little, too late. The loan negotiation went predictably. They couldn't pay $200,000. We settled for $50,000, paid over 5 years. Michael co-signed, legally binding him to help them. Aunt Margaret called one last time. The family thinks you won. I didn't win, I just stopped losing. Don't you feel guilty? I feel free. The Camry? I donated it to a women's shelter. They auction it every year, raise money for women escaping financial abuse. Felt appropriate. Michael texted on my birthday. I'm sorry, you were right about everything. I didn't respond, but I didn't block him either. Growth. Mom sent a Christmas card with a check for $100. For all the birthdays we forgot. I donated it to the shelter too. They'd finally seen me. Too bad it took losing me to do it. 6 months after the party, I was sitting in my new office. Corner suite, floor-to-ceiling windows, the success I'd earned invisible to my family for years. My assistant knocked. Sarah? There's a Michael Thompson in the lobby. I hadn't seen him since that night. Send him in. He looked different. Tired. Humbled. The arrogance had been beaten out of him by reality. Thank you for seeing me. You have 5 minutes. I'm sorry, not just for the will, for everything, for letting you carry us while I played successful. Okay. That's it? Okay? What do you want, Michael? Forgiveness? You have it. Forget what happened? Never. I'm in therapy, gambling addiction, narcissistic personality traits, dad too, family therapy. Good for you. Mom's diabetes is controlled. I make sure she takes her insulin. That's your job now. I know. He paused. I work 16-hour shifts, urgent care, then pharmacy tech at night. Every penny goes to their bills. Welcome to my last 12 years. How did you do it for so long? Love, duty, stupidity. Pick one. He stood to leave, then turned. The family sees you differently now. I don't care how they see me. You're the successful one. You always were. I know. After he left, I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no regret. Just peace. I started dating someone new, a lawyer who respected my boundaries, understood my worth, never asked why I didn't speak to my parents. I volunteered at the women's shelter, teaching financial literacy. Never let anyone make you feel guilty for protecting yourself, I told them. Not even family. Especially not family. Mom sent letters monthly. I read them, then filed them. Evidence of change, but not enough for reconciliation. The family story changed. I went from heartless daughter to smart survivor. From selfish to self-preserving. Amazing how bankruptcy changes perspective. Forgiveness doesn't mean giving them access to hurt you again, I told my therapist. And boundaries are the best gift I ever gave myself. A year later, Dad had a heart attack. Michael called. He's asking for you. Tell him I hope he recovers. That's all? That's more than I owed. Dad recovered. Michael sent photos. They looked older, smaller, diminished. The golden child taking care of them, finally understanding the weight I'd carried. The best inheritance, I told my reflection, is self-respect. And I was finally, fully, wealthy. 1 year after the birthday party, I stood in front of 40 women at the shelter's conference room. Your worth isn't determined by family recognition, I told them. Sometimes losing family means gaining freedom. A woman raised her hand. But how do you stop feeling guilty? You realize guilt is what they programmed into you. It's not real. It's control. After the workshop, the shelter director approached. The Camry auction raised $30,000. 5 women got fresh starts because of you. 5 women who'd never meet my parents, but who benefited more from that car than they ever did. That evening, I got an unexpected call. Pastor Williams. Your mother wanted me to tell you. The will's been changed, split equally now. I don't care. You don't? They can leave everything to charity for all I care. I'm not their retirement plan anymore. That's cold. That's boundaries. My new normal was peaceful. Brunches with friends who celebrated my promotions. Dinners with my boyfriend who bragged about my achievements. Vacations I could afford because I wasn't funding someone else's life. The workshop grew. Financial boundaries with family became a monthly series. Women drove hours to attend. The hardest part, I told them, is accepting that love shouldn't cost you everything. Michael sent a Christmas card with a photo. Him, our parents, sitting in the living room I'd helped renovate. They looked like strangers. Inside, he'd written, "We survive, you thrive. I understand the difference now." I kept the card. Evidence that lessons can be learned, even too late. Mom's final letter came on the anniversary of the party. I dream about that day. If I could change it. But I can't. I see you now, Sarah. Finally. I see you. I wrote back once. Seeing me now doesn't erase 12 years of blindness. I wish you well. No return address. My story spread through the family, then beyond. Messages from strangers. You gave me courage to set boundaries. I stopped enabling my brother. I chose myself. The best inheritance you can give yourself is self-respect. The best gift you can receive is freedom from those who don't value you. Sometimes the price of peace is letting go of people who should have held on to you. I built my life on my terms, successful, respected, free. And if that makes me selfish, I'll take it. Every single time. Thank you for staying until the end. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to choose yourself. Setting boundaries with family isn't selfish, it's survival. What's the hardest boundary you've had to set with family? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more stories about standing up for yourself and recognizing your worth, subscribe and click the bell icon. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup, and you deserve to be valued for more than what you can give. Until next time.